Morning, everybody. Hope you're all okay. It is Sunday. It's about 10 days since I've done the previous one of these, and I was going to do one a bit earlier, but anyway. Where I got to last time, I'm still talking about Struts, really, to start with. Got to the 2014 tour, and I said I was hooked, and I was. I didn't really understand the multiple gig going thing, despite the fact that I'd seen them 5 times that year. It kind of caught up and kind of snuck up on me, really. I never thought about doing this kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, there they were, and there I was, and I was doing it. And I then found out they were doing this tour all around the country, and and there's this woman on Facebook, on the Strutters group, and she had incredible red hair. And from what she was posting, she sounded as though she had a bit of an attitude, which I quite liked. Turned out to be Leslie Godwin. And I started chatting to her as she was travelling around the country. And I remember she was driving up to Glasgow. She lived in South Wales, and she was driving up to Glasgow to a gig. And I was sort of, well, how are you going to do that? Have you booked everything? Are you all sorted? When did you get your hotel? And she said, oh, I've not got anywhere to stay. I've nothing to stay. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And she said, well, I'll book a hotel when I'm 10 minutes out or 10 miles out or something. And there was me stressing about someone I had never met who didn't have a hotel because she was miles away from home on her own or whatever. And that was the first time I'd sort of thought about, hold on, there's a bit of light in here, I'm going to change the thing. I don't think that's made any difference at all anyway. That was the first time I'd really come across anybody who did that kind of thing, travelled around the country following a band. And this was when she was saying she just walked into sound checks and things like that. She didn't have to queue to get in. She'd get there at 6:30. She'd be the first one there. She'd be the only one there. And I followed her progress. She did Glasgow, Newcastle. Leslie, you can tell me if I'm right or not, can't you? Newcastle, York, Leeds, and she came down to Birmingham. And I just thought, I'm going to message her. I talked to her anyway. I'm going to message her and say, do you want to meet up for a drink? Thinking that I would sound like a freak, thinking that she'd say no, and she said yes, and we really got on. She's got an attitude, I'm grumpy. Match made in heaven, really. And we met up the night before the gig, then we went to the gig itself, and we went into the pub before the gig, and I let her do this to me, which is another one of my prized possessions. This is me. Just about see that on there, can't you? There's me, and there's Jed. And it's a photo that they took at the time. I bought my Who the Fuck is Luke Spiller t-shirt that night, actually, off of Adam's brother. So she put makeup on me that night. I remember Luke saying, nice makeup, mate, looking at me as if I was a bit of a freak. And I talked to Geff, and he was saying about the Halloween gig that a couple of days later, which was when they were going to dress up, and he was sort of not giving away who they were going to dress up as. That was in Leicester, so we went to that as well. Went to that with Leslie. Then I went to the one in Derby with her at Smithy's, where we had an acoustic set first, and we got to chat to the boys afterwards, and they were talking about the Isle of Wight Festival and the fact they were going there the following year. And we did a couple of solo gigs that year as well. One particularly special one with Jed that I might talk about at some point, but I don't know. And before I knew it, I'd seen them about 10 times by the end of that year. And I loved them. They were great. I'd also got to know people. I'd met Martin and Leslie and Adele and Juliet. I got to talk to all the boys. I'd met Adam's mum and dad. I'd met his brother. I met Tommy. I've been to an open mic night, I think, at Smithy's Bar and seen Emma. I'm pretty sure I did. I've met Dave. Dave, who looks after us all when we're on tour, when we're following the guys around. Buys us drinks, keeps us safe, bless him. And then there was a bit of a gap. There was lots of talk. They went to America, they did really, really well. They came back a few times, a couple of gigs here and there, and we did those. So I reckon by 2019, the beginning of 2019, I was up to about 15 gigs, something like that. And I'd seen them over the 3 years before. I'd seen them pretty much every time they'd come to the UK for all the gigs, near enough, not quite. And then they announced they were going to do a UK tour, which was in February. And I worked for myself, so I just thought, I'm going to do a few of these. There were 8. So I booked to go to Nottingham, I booked to go to Manchester and Birmingham and Bristol. So I booked 4. I thought, that'd be great. And then Martin said to me, are you going to London? And I said, well, I don't really know, but yeah, okay, I'll go to London. So I booked London. And I booked hotels, just for me this was just me. I was travelling around on my own. And I'd never done anything like this before, really. So I booked hotels, I booked trains, and I had it all sorted. And then I looked at the schedule and thought, Leeds isn't far. Leeds is the first day of the tour. Adele lives in Leeds. That'd be great. I could go and see her. I could go and meet up. So I booked a train to Leeds, booked the ticket for Leeds, and booked a hotel. And the American guys in the group will know that the amount of travel I do is nothing compared to what they do. But it was a big deal for me. And I looked at it and I thought, well, I'm doing Leeds and then Nottingham. And then I think Marty advertised some tickets on Strutters for Newcastle and said she's got a free ticket for Newcastle. So I looked at it and thought, Newcastle's quite a long way from Nottingham. Oh, I'm going to do it. So I messaged her, we got chatting to her, and she was lovely, as expected, everybody is. And she agreed to meet up with me in Newcastle and give me the ticket. In fact, I met her in Leeds the first day. She did Leeds, Nottingham. So I met her there and she gave me the ticket eventually. So I had a ticket for Newcastle. And then I'm thinking, well, I'm doing 7 out of 8. There's only Glasgow left. Oh, stuff it. I'm going to do Glasgow as well. And Glasgow was sold out. I managed to get a meet and greet from somebody that I bought off of Avril, another lovely lady who I met, and Avril and Ricky, her husband, through Strutters. But I couldn't get a ticket. And then another person on Strutters called Caitlin, who's a massive Little Mix fan. Hey, Caitlin, agreed to sell me a ticket as a spare ticket for Glasgow. So I met all of these people. I got a ticket off Marty for Newcastle. I got a meet and greet off Avril for Glasgow. I got a ticket off of Caitlin for Glasgow, and I ended up going to all 8 gigs. And at the end of the 8 gigs, actually, I'm going to move here. I'm going to keep talking and move because I need to show you something else. At the end of the 8 gigs in London, Martin came over to me and gave me, in fact it was in Birmingham, not London, and gave me this, which I'm just trying to show you. You see there, that is a Struts fridge magnet with the 8 UK tour dates on. I don't know how many there are, but I don't think there are very many. Oh, I've got something else to... Oh, I can't, so I'll do that later. So he gave me that, and that again is as a special sort of prize for doing all 8. But it wasn't just me that did all 8, and this is the great thing. This is getting really long, so I'm going to stop in a minute. This is the great thing. I started on that tour not knowing anybody, travelling around on my own. By the end of the tour, I remember sitting with a group of people in London, which included Matt and Melissa, and Kevin and Ruth, and I can't remember who else as well, but 4 other massively special people who also did all of the 8 gigs with me, which was Jürgen and Laura and Rob and Jill. We called ourselves the Fab Five. Pathetic, really, but anyway, they did all 8 with me, or I did it with them, and it was great. That's why I do it. It's not just the music, it's meeting the people, and it's been great. And that was just the start of it, really, the beginning of beginning of 2019. I'm going to leave it there and talk about the next bit next time, but I just remember the end of the 2019 February tour. I remember Jürgen messaging me and saying he was on the way home on the plane and he was crying. And I remember walking past the venue when I'd said goodbye to everybody, looking really depressed. And I remember Luke was sitting on the steps having a cigarette, and I've never been the sort of person that would impose myself on him or anything. And he just said hi, and I said hi and walked on, and he said, "Thanks very much for coming." And I just said, "That's all right, it's fine, you know." But I didn't say a lot. I've never sort of felt comfortable to do that, really. And I just remember that crushing depression of going back to real life. And real life is lovely. Real life is really enjoyable. I've got a fantastic family. I really enjoy being with them. They're great. I'm sure they find me annoying, but I love all of them, and I really enjoy my life. But this wasn't real. This was a fantasy thing, I suppose, and it was really, really good fun. And I've never done it before. And I just thought, that's it, you know. It's not going to happen again. I've done my 8, and that'll be all I'll do. And I remember Laura was going on and doing 2 or 3 dates in Europe after the February one, and I wanted to do that, but it just wasn't possible. So I just thought, well, that's it. It's never going to happen again. But we did set up a 5-person little messenger group: me, Jürgen, Laura, Rob, and Jill. So you know, we never thought perhaps anything would come from it, but it did. And that's what I'll talk about next time. That's enough for now. I've already talked about for far too long. But anyway, see you soon. Oh, there was one other thing I was going to say as well. I just want to unashamedly plug something. Sunday nights, Dog and Moon in Derby, there's an open mic night run by Emma Buckley. She's a fantastic singer-songwriter, really talented. It's full of local talent, and the musicians are great. They're really, really good variety of stuff. It's really good. If you're in the area, it's free. Just come along, turn up, have a drink, have a chat. Me and a few other people will be there, but if you are, I thoroughly recommend it. It's really good. So hopefully see you there, and I shall speak to you soon.